Hello everybody and welcome to Adobe Live. We would like to begin by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land in which we are creating and streaming from today, and we would also like to pay our respects to elders past, present and emerging. Looking at looking at chat. Thanks Johanna for letting me know that everything's working well. Hi Paola, how are you?
Hi, I'm great. I'm so excited to be here.
This is great to have you here. Paola Kassa, graphic designer and YouTuber as well, living here in Sydney, Australia, which is very exciting, coming over from the US. I'm really keen to hear your story when we get started. If you're watching live, this is an interactive show, so if you have questions, if you have comments, are you from the US and you're watching? Are you here in Australia? Are you somewhere else? Let us know. It's always great to hear where you're from. And we're here for an hour, so don't hesitate to ask questions in the Behance chat, or if you're on YouTube as well, we'll keep an eye on chat there. Paola, what brought you to Australia?
Okay, so my husband brought me to Australia. Is the real story.
Yep.
Yes, I followed a boy, unfortunately. But yes, I got married just over a year ago. Just had our 1-year marriage anniversary.
Congratulations.
And so, thank you. Yeah, so we got married last year in the US. He was, living with me in the US because very complicated border things. And we were in a long distance relationship for a while, all of that. And then we said, you know what, we're going to live in Australia. That's where we're going to be happiest. So then we came over in January, and I've just been living and adjusting and working here ever since, which has been great. Still, because I work for myself as a graphic designer, YouTuber, all of that, I can do it all from home. So that's great that I just picked up and could move to a whole new country. But
that's great, isn't it? Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah. So yeah, I'm really happy to be here. I love Sydney, love Australia so far from what I know about it yet, as of yet. Yeah, definitely still adjusting, but yeah, I love it here. And I'm just really happy that now I have the opportunity to have more opportunities to be part of stuff like this now that I've moved here. So yeah, it's just really exciting all around for sure. But yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Well, it's lovely to have you over here. It's always great having, new people joining in the creative community here. And great to have you on Adobe Live as well. And so we'll kind of, we'll have a look at some of your work as well, maybe before we get started, maybe pick a project or something like that. We'll just kind of chat about it. I know Johanna was very excited about your Polly Pocket project.
Yes.
Say that 3 times fast. That's really cool, but you don't have to pick that one. But you can pick whichever one you like.
Yes. Yeah. So I guess to explain what I do, if people aren't really familiar with me, I'm on YouTube. Most of my work is on YouTube. That's where I'm working the most. So I kind of consider myself a graphic designer, content creator, which is kind of an interesting newer title. I feel like not everyone's doing that because a lot of people are doing freelance primarily if they're, working for themselves independently. And I am someone who freelances, but also mostly enjoys making content for people and making graphic design tips and projects and help and just talking about everything like that under the sun about graphic design and art in general, visual art on my channel. So that's what I like to do. So yeah, my YouTube channel is the place where you'll probably see the most of my work and mostly what I do. So yeah, recent projects I've done are the Polly Pocket project. You're right, that is hard to say. Polly Pocket, and then I've done a recent skincare project that I ended up making a 5-part series of videos of just the different aspects of developing that brand. So yeah, it's kind of fun to just explore different aspects of branding for me because I like to approach things in such different ways. I like to do really tactile stuff. I like to do embroidery with my projects. I like to do branding as it is, and also even dabbling in photography and stuff, even though I'm definitely not a photographer. But I just love all of it. I love being the creative director of an entire project. So
yeah, absolutely. Autonomous, you get to decide what you want to do. Is it something that you think people really want to learn about it, or maybe it's something that you are really passionate about, so it gives you lots of drive and energy to do something. But yeah, that's super cool. Yeah, and I think Johanna is sharing your YouTube channel in there as well.
Okay, great.
So it's Paola Kassa on YouTube. Very easy to find. Some awesome videos on there, including the Polly Pocket one that I checked out before reaching out to you as well. But yeah, really great, really informative. But today we're going to be touching on personal branding. So like how to create a personal brand for yourself. And this, the secret's in the name. It's very personal, isn't it? Like depending on what you're doing, and you as a YouTuber need to think about all the touch points and where it might go from there. So we're going to be looking at it through that lens today.
Yeah, and I think I'm definitely in a unique position with what I do. I mean, not everyone is doing graphic design and YouTube. If you are a designer, you're not making content, but you are probably posting on Instagram, posting your work out there in general. Like obviously social media, the internet is, our best friend with promoting ourselves. So I feel like this hopefully will apply to a lot of people too, if you're looking to update your personal brand or even get started in personal branding. Because it covers everything. Like I will not just be doing, everything for YouTube. I'd like to do everything for me as a designer and professional person. Like this is all me out there in the world. So yeah, you have to think of everything. And I think it's good to highlight certain things, and hopefully it'll help inspire at least a little bit of action in your own branding if you're wanting to get started in that. So yeah, hopefully I can help.
Yeah, let's do it. And as well as we're going through, if there's any questions or you've got any questions for us, particularly Paola, but I'll try and do my best, throw my 2 cents as we're rolling along. Don't hesitate. So let's jump over. Let's check out what we have here. Is this we in Illustrator, I believe?
Yes, we're in Illustrator today.
All right.
That's where I like to start. That's where I like to do my logo designs mostly. I feel like it's probably the most flexible and convenient to do the most. So yeah, this is where I have everything. This is my current branding, and I'll be honest, it's all over the place because I have been developing it for years and just kind of adding on little things to it as I go, as I've figured it out. Like as I've really come into my own as a YouTuber and all of that online, I think I was like adding little things just because I'm like, oh, well, now I have a website up. Maybe I should just put a little logo for that. Maybe I should make a banner for YouTube. Like everything was all over the place for me for a long time. My logo here, this is like my main logo. It is very old at this point. I have been a graphic designer working for 5 years now, I think. 5 years consistently, yeah. And it's been there since I think I was like 19 or 20 in university still, and I have not changed it because I'm too stubborn. And then I added on some of these paolakassa.com, adding just more to my logos and stuff. I drew this little flower and I used it, and it was not for the brand. I made that flower randomly one day, and then it ended up on all my branding. So yes, like I've said, it's very all over the place and definitely needs an upgrade. So that's kind of what we're gonna be doing. We're gonna start with a new logo. I think it's gonna have the same essence because yeah, I still really like what I'm going with. Probably not so much the flowers, but really the essence of this. I like very bold type, and I love type-based logos. So
cool. Yeah. And so that's kind of the difference like between like a evolutionary brand journey as opposed to like a revolutionary one where you're kind of throwing everything out. You're like, I don't know, changed your name or something, or I'm not doing YouTube anymore. I'm a fitness instructor or something. Like it's not, the fundamentals aren't changing. It's kind of a refresh, an update. You've got more touch points. You've got different purpose for the brand, or, you've expanded where it needs to be seen, how it needs to be seen and things. Yeah.
Yes, I've definitely expanded too, because obviously as my channel has grown, I have grown as a designer, all of that, but also like I've been freelancing, which at first I didn't know really what that meant and what I needed. And, now I have contracts, invoices that all have my personal branding. So here's like an example. This is my current branding on a contract. So yeah, this is just kind of how I utilize my brand all over, not just YouTube or not just one thing. So that's kind of where we're starting. We're starting with type because type is my favorite thing of all time.
Okay.
I love typography and everything will always be typography. So, yeah.
Why do you like typography so much?
Just as soon as I was interested in design, I was just drawn to type. I was drawn to the development of it. I was drawn to the anatomy of type and how it worked and how typefaces were created. I was so interested. So ever since then, I just have gravitated toward that in my design work. I'm definitely not the type of person to illustrate. I'm not the type of person to make elaborate logos like that. I just really love working with type, manipulating it, maybe breaking some rules, but having fun while I do it. And sometimes just making the weirdest, ugliest type that I've ever seen, but I love that.
I love ugly type.
Yeah. I have justice for ugly type. I support it. So yeah, this is my current typeface that I'm using on most of my work is the Knockout series, which is pretty big. I'm not sure if anyone wants to know more about it. Abstract, The Art of Design, that Netflix documentary show.
Oh, yeah.
Had the creator of the Knockout series on one of the episodes. I don't remember, but yeah, it was very good. I was very inspired by that, but I have had it for a long time. I was really excited when I saw that documentary. So yeah, there's a lot of different Knockout fonts, just different weights and widths, and I have a lot of them. And I might continue on with one of these just because I feel like it does work so well with what I'm doing. But we're gonna explore a little bit.
That's it. Like when you find like a typeface that works, it's really hard not to use it because you're just like, oh, every time I use this type, it's got a big family. I know how to work with it. Like I know how to use it well, and kind of what the headings might want to look like and everything like that. But yeah, having a big, finding a typeface that has like lots of different weights and lots of different variations is a godsend down the track when you find you're doing something that you hadn't planned for.
Exactly. And I mean, it is good too that I'm just kind of revamping myself because, if I was starting like a studio or something where like I had to kind of refresh everything and come up with a whole new brand aesthetic, I think I would be a little overwhelmed. I'm glad that my work is just me. But that's also, that's a challenge. I think, especially as designers, we don't want to go with something like too trendy, too on like of the moment. I think if we're branding ourselves, because I think we want our work to speak for itself also. Like with me, I would like my branding, especially, if it's the banner of my YouTube channel and in the corner of every video, I think I wouldn't want it to be very, very trendy or very, like, I guess at the moment I'm really into like very wavy type and all of that. And I really love that. But I think if I did that in my branding, it would just overwhelm. It wouldn't be what I am. It would be what I like my work to be. So, a video project or something I'm doing is going to speak for that. It's going to be that style or whatever I'm working on at the moment. And I think
that's nicely said. Yeah.
Yeah. I think I just would rather focus on keeping my branding, no, I guess minimal, but just impactful in its own way. So that my work can speak for itself when I do post my work on any social media.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm trying to remember the trend that it was, but failing miserably. So let's just say it was like long drop shadow or something like that, which was around for about 3 months. But I remember someone talking about it, and they were talking about for a brand, depending, like how long do you want this brand to exist for? Like if is it a year? Is it 5 years? Is it 10 years? Like how long do you expect it? And if it is, then you really need to avoid trends because that's going to date things really quickly.
Exactly.
Especially because your audience is designers, presumably, or people that are interested in design. And then you've got something, let's say again, like long drop shadow or something like that. It's going someone like me might see it and go, oh, that's very 2019.
Yeah, it's a moment in time. Yeah.
Right, exactly. Yeah. It's a bit it was fashionable at the time, but that can date your work very quickly. So
yes, absolutely. And I just feel like as designers, our branding does need to at least, pull people into maybe your style and what you are going to be doing if you're working with them on their branding. You want to show like, hey, I can do this with you and we can partner up great and we have similar styles and you want to work with me. But also not be, I think, overtly trendy. I think what I've been seeing lately, without trying to be, rude or anything. I'm not trying to put anyone down because I love everyone's work out there. I follow so many people for inspiration. But I think what I've been seeing a lot is a lot of people are very interested in just posting for the content. Like they'll post designs just for the content. And I think what's missing is the substantial, work behind the brand. I think it's just, you don't want to be too overly trendy with every project. I think it's nice sometimes to just keep it simple. That's all. I guess that's a long way to say keep it simple.
Keep it simple. Yeah.
Yeah. It's not
That's the complicated way to say keep it simple. I love it.
I'm a complicated person. I'm sorry.
That's great.
But yeah, definitely. I have so many typefaces right now that I'm loving, especially for like thumbnails and stuff. I have fun with a lot of different typefaces and I like to do really trendy things. But just for my personal branding, I do want to keep it very me. And I think me is it's always going to be bold, bright, bold, bright type. That's just me.
That's great. I love that you know that about yourself. It's just going to be bold and bright. It's part of your internal brief. I would find it very hard. Yeah, I would find it very hard not to stack your first and last name sheerly for the fact that it's the same amount of letters. Like I find it really hard to avoid that kind of, almost like symmetrical kind of. I'm like, cool, 5 by 5. Let's do something here. But that will put me into a trap. Because then I'll force myself to do that. But I'm just looking at it now and I'm like, I would have stuck that straight away.
Well, yes, I actually did. I mean, this is, I guess, my online name. My last name is longer. My last name is Buitrago, but this is like my online name. It's part of my middle name. My middle name's Cassandra.
Right.
So this became my brand name and I feel like I did it. So it did kind of flow in that way.
Yeah.
So
okay.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I can see what you mean for sure because I like to have the like little zingy name in a brand. If I was branding myself, I didn't want it to be my full name because it just felt a little long and a little arduous. Is that the right word? I'm not sure, but yes. It felt a little tedious, I guess, to say my entire name or write out my entire name just because I felt like this looked better visually. And it was already a nickname of mine, so why not?
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I definitely get what you mean. I appreciate it. I love it too. I am still trying to figure out what to do, especially now because I do want part of my logo now to be my full name written out, like this full name, Paola Kassa, written out. So I definitely don't want to do this. I'm not trying to push people back to my website as much anymore.
Right, that's interesting. Yeah, so you think about like the journey for the viewer.
Yeah. I think at first I was really set on like having a lot of things go out on my website, and now it's a little bit of a graveyard at the moment. So
like everyone's website. So hard, right? So hard to keep it up to date.
Yeah. So I definitely need to redesign that. Especially this will maybe kickstart everything that I'm doing now if I'm going to start changing everything up. But yeah. I definitely want just my name to be the logo or be the banner or whatever, because I don't really need to guide people to my site. It's more about my channel, I would say, the most. It's probably the easiest way people find me and start finding my work. But yeah.
Yeah, so that's very interesting because like on the left you can see it's like paolakassa.com, which you've written out. So that was a different mindset. That's when you're like, I want to just really drive home that I have a website. You should go to the website when you see my logo. Hey, you like this YouTube content, go check out my website. And it's also interesting that you want it written out because your current logo is PK.
And
it doesn't have the whole name there. So
I think what I need is like just variations. Like I think I do want a variation with my full name and a variation with just PK. I think that's kind of like how people say like logo type, but then also having a symbol or something. I'm just really not a symbol person, which I know it looks great on so many brands and I have created them for clients and everything. But for me personally, I just don't see a symbol representing what I do. If that makes sense. Because for me, I'm like, well, I'm a designer. So what can I encapsulate design in a symbol? Whereas a branding, like I did a branding with a client who was a massage therapist. And we made a symbol because that was very, very directed,
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. And plus you are the brand as well. Like, so it makes sense. I'm a sucker for a fully literal name as well if it's not taken. So often in like naming process, like, cool, what are we doing? Does someone own the best name I can think of that's super literal? No one owns it. That's it. That's the name. It's great for SEO. Everyone knows what it is. It says what it does on the tin. Does what it says on the tin, sorry. And I'm often like, cool, done, tick.
Yeah.
Just checking in with chat. What's up, chat? Hello, Johanna, Hayne as well. Lovely to have you here. Hello, Elizabeth. Elizabeth Mock in the house. Great to see you. And for those just joining, feel free to throw in questions, comments, things like that as we're rolling through. Elizabeth asking, what was the romantic thing from earlier? Do you mean like the flower and the card on the side? So that's a previous version of Paola's branding.
Previous version. Yeah. So this end slate here is at the end of all my videos, like even the latest video I posted. So yeah, that's always there. And it's just not working anymore because like we were just talking about it. I don't need to give people my website as much. It's not as relevant anymore because most of my work is on YouTube, like I've said. I am also trying to post my work more on Instagram, but I find that so hard and scary. So there are so many better people at it than me, but I'm definitely trying.
Absolutely. Oh, I misunderstood. Elizabeth was asking what's the romantic thing from earlier was Paola moving to Sydney to be with her husband. That's what it was. 1 year anniversary.
That was romantic.
That is very romantic.
Yes, that was, very exciting for me that I never thought I would live in Australia, that's for sure, but just worked out that way. I met my husband in New York.
And he's Australian, I assume.
He's from Sydney, he's Australian, and he was in New York on a tour group and met one of my friends who was in town that weekend, and then we all had dinner, and that's how I met him.
There you go.
Yeah, it was out of nowhere. But yes, very romantic.
We have a question for you as we're rolling along. How do you go about deciding what should be turned into a video? Do you have a big list or does it come more spontaneously? So that question's for your YouTube channel.
Oh, okay. Well, I am notorious for improvisation. I love to do things on the fly. That's how I do my best work, I would say. But for videos, I do plan as much as possible. I try to stay organized, and most of my projects just end up being videos because, if I think of a project idea, I will want to video it. Like it'll feel like a wasted opportunity to make something and then not film it for everybody because it's just fun. And, if you guys want to see a project that I'm making, why would I do it in secret and then say, oh, here it is? Like, I'd rather you go through the whole process with me and we can talk about it. And, if I need to give tips, I can give tips. If they want to give me tips, they can give me tips. Like, I just love having that community. So that's why I will post any project I think of, I'll post. But yeah, with videos too, I am trying to go in like lots of different directions. So I am doing a lot more artistic projects, I guess, more with my hands, off the computer.
Been seeing a lot of that lately. I've seen a lot of like our friends and who stream with us and jump on and show us their process, and I check out their YouTube channel. It's like, okay, so I'm making a I was going to say origami, but it's not that, like claymation almost. Like I'm crafting something, like painting something, and it's like, oh, cool. I love that. Yeah, I love just exploring new ways of making art, but that's like design influenced, I guess, which I've always done. I worked on some fabric projects. I took like a fibers class when I was in university, and I was very influenced by design while making patterns and such. So it was fun. I'm trying to do something very weird here right now, but I'm enjoying this. Like the stretched type. It's always great, right? Like going through kind of just doing anything crazy that you kind of feel like at this stage. Yeah. And I definitely feel like this is what people need to get out. They just need to get out all their ideas and just go crazy, and it can be horrible. It's okay. That actually, I've gotten some questions about that before, so maybe this will help somebody. But yeah, people have reached out to me and they're like, how do I get over like the block I have? And I'm just like, make
everything. Like make the craziest thing, make something that you think looks bad, and then push through it and maybe step away from it, come back, and you'll probably have a better idea the next time.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I definitely think just, you know, if you're stuck, just get down and draw shapes and play with the type and flip things around and rotate them and use different typefaces and all that sort of stuff. Where do you land on inspiration or visual reference in your process? Do you try to avoid it at this stage, or I always call it the advertising method, or do you go out and you research a whole bunch of things you like, put them in a mood board or a scrapbook, and then start designing?
Yeah, I do mood board a lot. I guess I kind of skipped over that because I'm just a little overwhelmed today, but I do have a lot of mood boards that I work with, especially on Pinterest. That's mostly where I just make them, just to get out all my ideas. But yeah, actually, we can put something together like really quick. I feel like we can just put together a few photos that we can kind of serve as inspiration. Actually, I love to do, for some reason, what inspires me is doing rounded, cornered photos when I put in into my Illustrator file, like actually creating the mood board. That helps me to just have like visual reference off to the side. So in here, I have some photo inspiration, and I will just clipping mask this because it's kind of type inspiration, but also colors, just color and form. I feel that I usually find just like one or two aspects of a design that is something I want to emulate, and then I will just kind of use it as a reference point or a jumping off point just to stay inspired at least. So I'm not looking at black and white the whole time, because I think it is important to start in black and white, but yeah, it helps me from getting a little bit dull at some point.
Yeah, that's interesting because during this process, often it's good, almost mandatory, I would say, to avoid color at the beginning when you're trying to figure out your shape and the type and all that sort of stuff. But it is an interesting point about you sort of go through and then nothing looks good because it's quite dull. And as you said at the start, you're like, this is going to be bold and like colorful, right?
Yeah, exactly.
You'd be going through going, this isn't working for some reason.
Yeah, exactly. Because you're looking at your own work thinking, okay, well, it's not colorful yet. So what can I do to make it exciting? And I think that's also a challenge too. You know, you need to make things exciting, even in black and white.
Yeah.
Which is, you know, definitely a challenge, but it's something that I think everyone should start trying to get good at if they're wanting to build brands.
Absolutely.
Yeah, even just bringing in the photos like this, like just this little aspect of this design, just the fact that it had a little curve taken out of it, I was like, oh, that's very, very interesting and exciting to me. So, you know, it's in here, it's in the inspiration. This is more toward like color inspiration and kind of photography too. Like I said, I like to think about all aspects of the brand as well. Even if I'm not doing the photos for a brand or a client, I do like to think about that. And then for myself, since this is personal branding, you do need to think about your photos, you know, or your headshot or your profile picture on social media, what you're doing. But yeah, like I said, headshots and stuff, I feel like that's important as a designer to have, so that people can see you, know who you are, see a friendly face.
Absolutely. And it might inform your next headshot as well. You might think, actually, my brand's, it's either gone sophisticated or it's gone more playful or it's gone, with YouTube, it could be, headshots, the YouTube tiles that are always like, shaking their head like, oh no, I can't believe this, whatever's happening, reaction. Yeah, the clickbait reaction stuff. You might do a whole photo shoot around it that might be informed by the brand.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's cool to think about all that sort of stuff. Quick shout out to Annika in chat. It's great to see you here.
Hey. Thanks for being here, everybody. This is so exciting. But yeah, so for me, I have some photos already of my brand, but I took them myself. I didn't really know what I was doing. Now I'm ready for some more professional photos. So yeah, I'll probably be be redoing those. And I do have a friend here, luckily in Sydney, who is good at photos. We'll be working together. Yeah, so I can kind of capture the look I'm going for with this brand, which I do have some. I was maybe on Thursday we'll be able to cover too, just using in mock-ups like some photo styles that I'm really thinking of for the brand as well, which obviously the photos would be me, but I don't have them yet. So I picked some photos that are kind of similar to what I'm looking for. But yeah, like I just love all the creative aspects of a brand, like making a brand. I just love that, you know, I can pick photo styles and pick design styles and really explore.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's fun to kind of collect everything and then sort of start piecing it together, and jumping around from one thing to another might kind of go in a direction that you couldn't have known until you started kind of sitting down and spending some time.
Yeah, exactly.
This is a good question. So this is a question from chat. So with this rebrand, have you given yourself a set brief, or are you going more by your gut feel?
Definitely more gut feeling, because I mean, I've worked with my own branding this entire time. I've looked at it for years, and I think I just knew when it was time to refresh. I mean, I've known for a while, but I've been putting it off. But yeah, for me, I felt like I just wanted to go with what I was feeling, and what I was feeling was more, what's more me, you know, just what's more me and what looks like an updated version of me. And I think my branding has always been me. So for me, I don't need to really like follow a specific brief, because I know my personality, you know.
Yeah.
I'm liking this. It's kind of weird. See, in black and white, it's just like, is it a little weird? I don't know. But when I add color, will it be exciting? I'm not sure yet. I think what I'm thinking, like maybe just in my head, is this going like off the page. You know what I mean? Like
I was seeing that too. So
just thinking of it like this, like very extreme. That's why I'm just expanding it more and more.
Yeah, it's an interesting device to do. So like if you're designing your invoice, the P and the K might be here, but that, you know, the part of the branding might be, I don't know why I use air quotes. Part of the branding might be that it just always runs off the page into the distance. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that as an interesting idea. Definitely would like to explore that more. Oh, I'm in direct select. Oops. It's funny. It's now that I've written out my name a few times, it doesn't even look like my name anymore.
It's like if you say a word too often in a row, it starts to lose all meaning.
Yeah.
Had another question here from chat. Thanks for the questions. Keep them coming. What's your favorite thing about being a designer and YouTuber?
Oh, my favorite thing. I think specifically for me, mine is very like designer, YouTuber. My answer is very like the fact that I combine those things.
Yeah.
It's just having a community of designers and people who are interested in this online. Like I have a Patreon, and that's like a really fun little tiny community. We're very small but mighty. And we do challenges and stuff. So it's just so fun to like just have people online, even mutual people that I've met just from being, you know, online and Instagram and YouTube and everything. Just having people to look up to, having people to be inspired by, having a community to help. Like it just makes me so happy that I can help people with their design work, and even just serving as inspiration. You know, I don't need to be the person who can tell you exactly how to do something. Like I just like to be there and say, hey, we're all on this design journey together. I'm not the best of the best. I am just one of many. So it's fun to like have a community to just chat to and reach out to, and have people reach out to me, and I try to respond. I try to respond as much as possible. But yeah, I'm
sure it gets to a point where it's difficult to respond to everything.
Yeah, it's just crazy with growth. I mean, it's just really, it's exciting, but sometimes it can just be overwhelming.
Totally.
I don't get to everyone all the time, and then I feel bad. But yeah, that's probably my favorite part, is just having that community online specifically.
Yeah. And you mentioned before as well, like being able to move and just and still continue the main thing that you were doing. Like that's such a, not overlooked, because I think, you know, through everything that everyone's been through over the last couple of years, it's obviously become maybe something that people understand a lot more. It's like, hey, it can work from home, can work from anywhere. Kind of have this nice little, you're shielded by a couple of those big changes that happened over the last couple of years in a way.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's obviously a huge advantage.
Definitely.
I've got more questions if you're up for it.
I'm up for it. I love questions.
Okay. What's the most fun project you have ever worked on?
Oh, most fun I've ever worked on?
This one with me right now, for sure.
Yeah, right now I'm having so much fun.
Other than this one, no pressure. Yeah.
Yeah, so probably I would say I did a couple fun projects in university that are honestly still my favorite, because I'm a very self-motivated person. Obviously, I work for myself. I have to do that. But having someone to tell me what to do, I love it. I loved my homework. I loved school. So for me, I just was very into making projects at university and showing them off there. I made a couple like fabric posters. I like to call them posters. They had a lot of type printed on them. They had some patterns and some shapes, and it was just really fun and exciting to make that. And then I did make my own typeface as well, which it's not my favorite. It was definitely a moment in time for me. I was, I think, 2019 when I made that, and I love it still just because it was so fun. Like, even though it's not something I would make now. But yeah, it was just so fun to make. Like, the process, learning all of it, it was just the best.
That's great. Cool answer. For those of you who are just joining us, we're here with Paola Kassa. I'm Flynn, and we're here for about another 20 minutes.
Wow.
So just I know, I told you. It doesn't matter how many times we tell people they're on for the first time, but yeah, it does go really quick. With all of our questions and things like that. But feel free to interact with us, ask questions as we're rolling along. And we are just anticipating questions that might come in for those that are new. We're talking about personal branding, looking at a bit of an evolutionary kind of brand approach today. And what else? We're in Adobe Illustrator. Yeah.
Yes.
That's the FAQs I think we usually get. And welcome if you're just joining us.
Yes, we have some inspiration over here. We have some of my old stuff over here, and it looks a little messy right now, but I am a very messy designer in the way that I don't do anything organized until the very end.
Right.
And then it's done and I'm happy.
That's perfect. Yeah.
I'm trying to organize it a little bit just so it looks visually nice for everybody to look at me while I design this.
No, go messy. It's all good.
Okay. I might just move this whole artboard over. There we go. Yeah, I'm really enjoying manipulating this typeface right now. I've really landed on this knockout one, 53 heavyweight. So yeah, that's definitely bigger than I was working with before, but I feel like I need to push it a little bit further. I feel like I was playing it very safe in my first branding, which I'm ready to try something new, even if it's within the same type family.
Yeah. Okay, fun question. Do you spell words the American way or the Australian way? Example: favorite versus favorite. The one that gets me all the time is color versus color.
Color, yeah. I'm still in my American mindset. Mm-hmm. Guys, I've lived in America 25 years. I'm sorry. But
it'll take a while.
Or 26 years. But yeah, it'll take a while. And also my computer is still in American type, like however it's set up. I bought it there, and my phone and everything. So if I'm gonna type it out, it's gonna tell me I'm wrong. So I don't think I can adjust so quickly.
I have to change that first. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to change that over. I am trying to get into the Australian vernacular and slang, but it's kind of funny because my husband doesn't really use any. He has a very neutral accent, I would say. He doesn't use any slang terms. He doesn't use anything. So I didn't really know anything because he was the only one I knew. He's the only Australian I knew for a long time. And then now it's funny to hear my friends that I've made here say things like Arvo and just silly things like that. I like it.
Yeah, a bit of a culture shock. Yeah, if you had someone who, yeah, I get that. I was going to ask that question. I was change the question around to, do you spell the words American way or English? But I don't.
Or real.
Yeah, just kidding. Do you create daily? Another short, like, kind of question.
I would say, yeah, I do, probably because I make myself. Like I said, I have to be self-motivated as a designer, but with the amount I have to do, at least there's some little creation every day. So whether that's making a thumbnail for a video, or making a design for my patrons on my Patreon, because I give them like exclusive little designs or tutorials or things. So I'm making just smaller projects throughout the week. Sometimes it's a slow week, sometimes it's a really busy week. So I would say I try to create every day, but I don't think I'm the type of person to always be working on a really big project. I think I have to sit and think about that for a while. Kind of plan out a video, plan out what I'm going to do with that. So, yeah, I'm not always working on big stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, great. These are great questions, everybody.
Yeah, I'm loving these questions. I'm wondering too if some of these people are like from my YouTube channel. Like I hope maybe some people have watched me and that's why they came onto the live today. I know some of my friends are watching, so I have some support.
Shout out to the support team. That's always good.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm playing with these letters probably the most just because I really feel like it's gonna look similar to this. Maybe not this one, but I feel like I just had it in my head already what direction I wanted to go for.
Right.
And then especially with color, I feel like color will really bring in some excitement to it, I guess. But yeah, like I said, I love working with black and white too. I am a very classic person with my designs, I would say. I do work a lot in black and white. I don't add a ton of color to a lot of my logo designs. So yeah.
I'll often do that. Yeah.
Yeah. I love white. I think it's an underrated use, like, you know, to have a white logo or something just really light over top of an image or colors in the back. I just love, I love that. I think it's underutilized. People always want to go for color and I'm just like, I'm going to go with white. I'm good.
There's another question, which is interesting because you had the type that you had downloaded, which was, I think, Hoofler type or Tobias Free Jones, I can't remember, but it was up. But the question is, what typography resources do you recommend?
I mostly go to Adobe fonts for majority of what I get. I love Adobe fonts. I've found so many on there. Like currently I'm really liking this Bookman one and Bookmania, I think they're called. I really like them. This is obviously in all caps, but I love that. And then there is, I guess now I'm just talking about typefaces I love currently, but there is one, Temeraire, I don't know how to pronounce that, but italic, so beautiful, makes me so happy. So yeah, most of the time I'm finding them on Adobe fonts, and if I'm not, I'm looking at like Behance mostly, where people are posting them. I'm always on Behance looking at inspiration and different fonts and typefaces that people are creating. That's my favorite places to go.
Cool.
Genuinely, I mean that genuinely, guys. I go to Behance for everything.
Yeah, I didn't ask you to say that.
No, he did not tell me, guys. I'm just curious if this even is going to look like a K if I keep moving it around. So maybe I should stop.
So we've got about 10 minutes left, maybe 11 minutes or something like that. Just to let you know for timing and to let you know that who are watching, we'll be back on Thursday. So it isn't the end of the stream.
Yes.
We'll basically pick up where we leave off from today, and we'll be back in 48 hours for the rest. But hey, don't go away. We've still got 10 minutes left.
Yeah, I'm excited because there's a lot, I mean, there's a lot of elements that go into a brand, not just logo design.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm excited to share like color palettes, color choices. I have that all kind of in my head, ready to go. I'm ready to talk about it.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm definitely excited to share that. And I'm excited to just do this rebrand, honestly. It was long overdue. I was definitely needing to do this.
All my stuff is completely, utterly, and hopelessly out of date.
Yes, but that's just how it goes as designers. And then as designers too, we go, oh, well, it's not finished. It's not finished.
Right.
This is a work in progress, always under construction. Just like my website, always under construction.
It's very interesting with the whole website thing. Actually had a email, well, it was a newsletter from a friend of mine. She used to do a weekly newsletter, and then it just kind of stopped. I didn't notice, but then she's jumped back on it. I don't mean that in a derogatory way. It's just we get so many emails, and I used to love reading it. And then her email, it was the first time, in almost 2.5 years that she's written it. It's just a bit of an update. But since then, she's created a business, with a business partner and doing design. She's an incredible designer. And but she said, yeah, we still, it's been a year in and we still don't have a website. But they haven't needed one yet. So, they thought the first thing we'll have to do, I assume, is, build a website. But they had clients already, and they're just been busy, working on the client projects, and people have found them through other ways.
Yeah, that makes so much sense. I mean, people find me mostly through YouTube, like
YouTube, right?
Like I said, yeah. And so for me, some people don't even know I have a website. I guess they haven't even looked or taken a look at my work. They've just seen my work on my channel. And, I have my email linked everywhere too. Some people do contact me through my website still. That's probably the biggest thing. I would say just contact me through my website.
Right.
That's the only place they're doing that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's it.
Yeah. The website thing's quite interesting when there's so many social media apps and, YouTube and things like that. Do we need it? Who knows? Question for another day. And yes, sorry, Annika. She said, oh my God, I need to get on top of my email newsletter. Sorry, I didn't mean to remind you of yet another thing.
Don't think about emails, everybody.
Yeah. My bad. Here's another great question. If you could go back time in 5 years, what career advice would you give yourself? Wow. That's a hard one to answer.
Like if I could so in 5 years, if I could go back to now and give myself
if you could go back 5 years.
Oh, okay.
Go back 5 years.
Go back 5 years from now and give myself advice. 2017.
And you get to give yourself career advice. What would you say?
I would say, don't be afraid. I was so afraid of posting my work, of reaching out to people about my work, about even posting to my YouTube channel about design. I really didn't get into that for a long time. I was very afraid, and I'm still afraid. I'm the type of person to just not do things for a very long time that I know I should be doing. And so I sit there and I ruminate on it, and I kind of ruin it for myself because I should have done it, a year ago, and then I would be in a better place now, so I think that's probably my best advice is don't be afraid. Put your work out there. If you're afraid to post on Instagram, just post. It's okay. And you'll get better, and you'll see how your work gets better.
Yeah.
As you continue, and you'll have kind of like a little scrapbook of it. Good way to put it, but
yeah. You can look back and see how far you came. That's great advice. I was expecting invest in Bitcoin or something, but but yeah, that's a great answer.
I think fear is the thing that I've had to work past the most. So that's just my personal experience.
Yep.
For sure. Yeah, I'm really liking kind of this one probably the most. This one looks a little spooky because it got too tall.
Right.
It gave a spooky vibe. I'm really liking the width of this one that I've done here. And then I'll probably incorporate this aspect of it, this kind of off the page. We might incorporate that maybe like in the contract, like you said, like if it went off the physical page of a contract with that type of branding, invoices, all of that. And then maybe in the YouTube banner, once we start adding color and imagery and stuff, I think it might work.
Yeah.
Because the YouTube banner, you know, that sits on the top of your channel. So I feel like that'll be interesting just to keep the eye moving across your channel.
Yeah, it's interesting to think about all those different touch points. How would it work? What would happen if it needed to be in the right side down the bottom?
Yeah,
would you run it across? You know, what if you can't do that?
Exactly. Yeah, because some of these need to be in the video as well. Like this would be, I guess, in the video itself at the bottom right corner. So yeah, there's different things to think about there. And then, like I said, in my contract, I like to have my logo in my contract as well. Which I guess I'm kind of an all over the place person. So I guess people aren't relating to the YouTube thing, they can relate to the freelance thing, vice versa. I don't know.
Right.
But yeah, I have to think about all these aspects as in my personal brand. And this is not going to stay black, which, as you can see in my first iteration, my first logo, it had just an element of pink. I'm not using that pink in my branding anymore.
Yeah.
I'm not using the beige or the pink. So I will be whole new color palette I'll be using, and the PK logo and the Paola Kassa, they will have color.
Yeah. And are there any colors that are like on your, like, are the pink and beige kind of on almost a blacklist? Like, in terms of like, I've just seen it so much, I need to move away. The reason I asked that is because I had two brands I worked on for 5 years simultaneously, and they were both like bright red. And then I'm just like, nothing is ever red for me now because I just
can't look at red.
can't look at red anymore.
Yeah. That's me with beige at this point, for sure, because I've used it as my neutral for so long. As I was kind of learning more about color theory, I think, and learning about that part of design, I think I didn't focus on color. But now I can't use beige. I can't look at it. Yeah.
Totally.
I definitely want to go more bold. Like, I mean, this has kind of been the word of my day today, but yeah, I definitely want to be more bold, and I'm definitely thinking green. Green has become one of my favorite colors in the past few years, and I really love using it, and I think I should use it more. I think it just looks so great on a lot of brands. And also utilizing white, over darker backgrounds, kind of offsetting instead of just black and white, kind of white over color, photo, imagery, all of that.
Yeah, that's an interesting brand, like strategic approach to branding, being like, I want it to be white, which means a lot of my imagery will need to be dark enough to see it. And because you're creating the content, you have that, it silos you a little bit, but also it could put you in a really creative box as well, because you know that's what you get to play with.
Yeah,
it's interesting.
Let me take a look at this in white as well. It just already is exciting to me in white. I'm just like, look at it, even on a small scale. I'm really liking it. Just because I really want to focus also on my imagery as a brand too, just so I can have kind of me, and it's about me as a designer, me and my channel, and not just the work. I don't want to be like a faceless aspect of my channel and everything. I want, my personality and me to be part of it. And I hope that's the reason people stick around on my channel and watch me, because I like to have fun, and I'm not just, sitting there giving a tutorial.
Right. Yeah.
Which is, there's nothing wrong with. It's just not my channel. It's not my channel at all. But yeah, I really like this green, but I probably would do something maybe even a little bit more blue tone. But I don't know. I think I just put this in here because I was like, oh, green for brands. Like, I love that.
Right.
So I put it in here, but it's not the exact green I'm going for. And this one was definitely the inspiration of just bright, bold, exciting.
Yeah. That's great. Yeah, the masthead pops out so much. We are pretty much out of time. We're going to go out with one. So just a reminder, we'll be back on Thursday. We're going to pick up where we left off. We'll be chatting about color and branding and applications and things like that as well. Maybe a bit of Photoshop. We'll see how we go. Illustrator, Photoshop, depends how we go. It's live, so we never know where we're going to end up. Thank you for the great questions. It's been excellent having you all here. We hope you can tune in for Thursday stream. I'm going to ask you one more question as we go out, Paola. How different is it designing for YouTube as opposed to other social platforms? Are there any unique challenges?
Oh, well, Definitely, everyone's opinion being part of it is a
Right.
unique challenge,
Comments.
especially when I get affected by them pretty easily. I get swayed very easily too, so I like to
Right.
listen to the comments. So that definitely influences my work. But then also just making sure that it looks good for social media is hard when you're trying to work and trying to get things done, and then filming them at the same time can be overwhelming because you don't feel like the best designer all the time when you're throwing things together, and kind of have to have this image of put togetherness, which I struggle with. So
Right. You got to
probably my
manufacture that
biggest-
side of things because,
Yeah.
as we know, it can be very messy. Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of my biggest challenge, is just making sure that it looks good for everyone so that everyone can at least follow along simply enough and like enjoy what I'm doing too on a visual level.
Yeah. Absolutely. Great answer. That's fantastic. That will take us out today. Thank you again, everybody, for watching. Paola, we will see you back here on Thursday for part 2.
Yeah, I'm excited. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone. See you then.